I want a baseball team, man. I want to start watching and supporting a baseball team. But which one? Which one is the question? There's just so many, and each of them, have their own little quirks. Um, and I think this is a good video to kind of get me to understand what each team's about, right? And then from there, I'll be able to sort of like pick a team for me. Like I want someone who hasn't won for a while, is on the cusp of greatness, kind of like Arsenal Football Club, on the cusp of greatness, like a sleeping giant almost that's almost awakened. Like what kind of team fits that category?
Arizona Diamondbacks. D-backs fans are like technically real. They exist. You just rarely meet one because a lot of people move to Arizona from elsewhere. Their whole identity is tied to 2001, and honestly, that's fair enough. If you beat peak Jeter-era Yankees with a 38-year-old Randy Johnson pitching on no rest and walk it off against prime Mariano, you deserve to ride that forever. A lot of the time, the stadium feels like an airport Chili's with a baseball field attached to it, but every 5 or 10 years, the team randomly pops off. They have some little brother energy to them, like they want to be taken seriously, but also jump in a pool whenever they accomplish anything. Nobody dislikes them. You just kind of forget they're in the league, and then all of a sudden, they're in the NLCS. Also, Brandon Webb's career breaks their hearts. The Athletics.
So the Diamondbacks are kind of like an underdog team, really, that they don't really win very often, if at all, but sometimes they're kind of relevant, kind of.
A's fans are obviously the most disrespected, emotionally battered group in baseball. I'm not even totally sure who is and isn't a fan at this very moment. A lot of old fans will disown them, and lots of new ones will adopt them in the coming years. They've watched their team get gutted repeatedly. Every time a player gets good, they have to say goodbye to them before they actually had to say goodbye to the whole team. They're very proud of the Moneyball days, but that was a long time ago. And before they moved, they went full-on rebellion mode, banners, chants, boycotts, reverse boycotts.
Wow.
They wish John Fisher was banned from the sport. The Coliseum fell apart, raccoons lived in press boxes, and half of the stadium was tarped off. And yet, when the A's had a shot...
Raccoons live in the press boxes? Ugh, really?
They were there. The true fans still rep Ricky Henderson, still believe in green and gold, and still hold on to whatever's left of the franchise. When the A's left, something inside the fans broke. The Atlanta Braves. Braves fans live by two simple commandments. F the Mets and f the Phillies. Those are the only laws you need to follow. The fan base has two sides. The old heads still polishing those 90s NL East banners like they're heirlooms, and the new wave that is just obsessed with Ronald Acuna Jr. But they do have receipts. 14 straight division titles at one point, 2 World Series in the last 30 years, about 10 World Series losses, and a roster full of guys who can contend for the MVP or the Cy Young. They treat Alex Anthopoulos like he's a wizard, and they're not really wrong, arguably the best GM in baseball. And Truist Park is like SEC tailgate energy kind of with a baseball game. And the tomahawk chop might be controversial, but in Atlanta, it's not leaving.
Why is it controversial? Why is it the Native American link, or why?
I love Matt Olson, but Freddie Freeman will always be their true love at first base. And if they lose, it was 100% Brian Snitker's fault. The Baltimore Orioles. The stadium is beautiful, the city has heart, but the team, year after year of sadness, wishing they were as good as they were 50 years ago. That was up until recently. Now Orioles fans are back, loud, cocky, and to some borderline unbearable. I'm not saying that's how I feel, I'm just saying that's how some people feel. They watched their team lose 110 games,
Ooh, that stadium is gorgeous. I love this. The brick, the old school feel. I really like this.
Inseparably bonded to Adley and Gunnar, and now they think they're inevitably going to win the World Series. They've still got that gritty underdog energy, but it's layered under a we're the future of baseball type of attitude. They hate the Yankees, they really hate the Angelos, and they act like Camden Yards is holy ground, which it kind of is. They wish they still had Corbin Burns, and they don't like to talk about Chris Davis. You can clown ownership, but don't talk down on the fan base. They stuck it out through hell, and now they want you to know that they've arrived.
Wow.
The Boston Red Sox. Old heads still walk around with 1986 PTSD, even though they've won 4 titles this century.
Okay, so the Red Sox are kind of, a successful team in terms of modern day terms. Like 4 championships recently.
They hate the Yankees so much, it's basically their whole personality. If you bring up 1978 or Aaron Boone, immediate rage blackout. They're emotional, loyal, and absolutely unhinged. It's Boston sports. They'll trash their own players for months and then cry when they leave. They're also a bit prone to overreaction. If they win a series in April, it's time for a parade, and Fenway Park is their church.
So they're very emotional fan base, kind of like Arsenal fans. Okay, I kind of see some connection
They'll
here.
defend that place with their lives. even though the seats were built for people from the Renaissance era. If you say anything bad about David Ortiz, you might get punched. Say something bad about Mookie Betts, and, well, they still haven't gotten over that. The Chicago Cubs.
Okay,
Cubs
the Red
fans used
Sox.
to be lovable losers. Now some people might not consider them either one of those things. 2016 was the most important year in human history in their eyes. For over a century, their whole identity was trauma. Now it's nostalgia for a team that actually won something. They still pack Wrigley every day like it's a religious ritual. Half the crowd is drunk by the third inning. Even when the team's mid, they vibe. Day games, Ivy, old-style beer, and stories about Ernie Banks like he was their uncle. They're sentimental to a fault. You also can't say anything bad about Chris Bryant or Anthony Rizzo without a 10-minute lecture. And they used to want to kill Steve Bartman, but now he's forgiven. And when you bring up the White Sox, they'll just laugh like you said something silly. But the Cardinals do own real estate in their head. It's been nearly a decade since their World Series win, so they're starting to get antsy. The Chicago White Sox. The drunkest fan base in baseball. Can you blame them? They've got this constant chip on their shoulder. Sick of being the second team in their own city, sick of bad ownership, and sick of hearing about what's happening on the north side. They'll tell you they're tougher, grittier, and way more real than Cubs fans. And there's some truth to that. This is a fan base raised on Ozzie Guillen quotes and '05 glory. Now stuck watching a team coming off the worst season of all time.
Wow. So they're kind of not stuck in the past, but, they always kind of, think of the past in a way. There's a team, Manchester United.
They hate Jerry Reinsdorf with a passion. By the way, you're going to start to notice, basically outside of the Dodgers, Mets, and Yankees, every fan base thinks they have it the worst and they hate their owner. But as for the White Sox, when things do click, the South Side is a ruckus crowd. They will fight you in the parking lot just to pay tribute to Tim Anderson and then complain
Swanging
about
and
how they're sick
banging.
of Luis Robert. The Cincinnati Reds. The Big Red
I like that logo. It's bold, simple yet striking.
Machine. That's another name for the hell that Reds fans reside in. They're one of the oldest franchises in the game. They lay claim to Pete Rose, Johnny Bench, Barry Larkin, but it's like the MLB forgot they exist sometime around the early 2000s. Most of their best memories from this century are Joey Votto carrying a fourth-place team on his back. They'll show up for cheap tickets and chili, even when the team is actively trying to lose. But now Cincinnati's a little bit exciting. Ellie De La Cruz is the most electric thing they've seen in decades. They also hate the Cardinals, along with everyone else in the NL Central, don't really acknowledge the Pirates, and have very strong opinions about baseball being better on the radio. They're baseball purists at heart, but desperate for a new chapter. If the Reds get good again, the fan base is going to go absolutely feral, and for good reason. The Cleveland
So they kind of remind me of Arsenal when Arteta first took charge. So not won anything for quite a while, a bit of a chip on their shoulder, but strong history. I see.
Guardians. Their last 3 decades are riddled with playoff appearances and some legit runs. They don't get the national love, they don't get the payroll, and they definitely don't get over 2016. That Game 7 still haunts them. They were this close to ending a drought that's older than most of their grandparents. And then Rajay Davis hit a miracle homer just to lose anyway. They've had some filthy players in their history. Albert Bell, Jim Thome, Kenny Lofton, even Manny Ramirez as a youngster. But these days, their success is built upon somehow turning high-floor, low-upside pitchers into aces and turning little Jose Ramirez into an MVP-caliber slugger. The front office also holds this cool annual tradition where they trade away their best player before they have to pay them. But through all the cheapness, missed opportunities, and broken dreams, they keep coming back because the Browns don't give them the happiness they need. The Colorado...
Are they not really like a wealthy team? Is that why they have to trade away their best player every single season? That must suck, though, for the fans.
Rockies. Rockies fans are in a toxic relationship with a team that doesn't even pretend to try. They've got one of the most beautiful stadiums in sports and a front office that treats it like a ski lodge with a gift shop. They let Nolan Arenado leave for basically nothing. They watched Trevor Story walk, and they didn't even really get that mad. They know the team won't spend money and can't develop pitching, but they'll still show up, drink a few cold ones, and vibe out to sunset over the mountains. Coors Field is a party, even if the baseball is meaningless. Diehard fans will talk your ear off about how Todd Helton is underrated, Larry Walker deserved the Hall of Fame, and dream about Prime Cargo and Tulo. The best team to like if you don't actually care about baseball. The Detroit Tigers.
Wow.
Tigers fans were exhausted until the second half of 2024. They had a really nice 2000s and early 2010s with some World Series appearances. This is a proud fan base with real baseball tradition. All the Ty Cobb fans died a long time ago, but the new ones grew up on Verlander and Miguel Cabrera. But then came a rebuild that lasted nearly a decade, and they didn't have much to show for it. But they're coming off a playoff appearance, and even though the jury's still out on Spencer Torkelson, at least Tarek Skubal is the best pitcher in baseball. They still have love for Comerica Park and will show up in April cold as hell. They feel weirdly superior to the Royals, and if the Tigers are even decent, the city shows out. They're just hoping for some sustained success once again.
Okay. So their city loves them no matter what, whether they're good or bad. Their fan base will turn out and cheer like no matter what. I love that. Passion.
Astros. They know everybody hates them. They've heard every trash can joke in the book, and they'll never be able to live that down. But they also don't really care. It feels like they're in the ALCS every year, and the whole cheating scandal just put a chip on their shoulders. They went from a 100-loss rebuild to a dynasty, and they're not going to let you forget it. They worship Biggio, Bagwell, and Altuve. They might even argue that Jordan's every bit as good as Aaron Judge. They will not apologize for anything. They might just ask why your team didn't cheat better. Minute Maid Park, I'm always calling it Minute Maid, gets loud when Jordan parks one into the right field stands and they have that little choo-choo train going. The Kansas City Royals. Royals fans are mostly people who are from the area. Those 2014 and 15 runs were magical. The city went nuts, small ball, insane defense, and an unhittable bullpen trio. But now it's back to reality. Unless the Lord and Savior Bobby Witt Jr. can save them. They love the
Lord and Savior Bobby Witt Jr.
Royals, but they're always somewhere between bad and mediocre. So once August rolls around, people are more excited about the Chiefs. They hate the Cardinals more than they even love the Royals. And yeah, they'll tell you George Brett is the GOAT.
Oh,
regardless,
he's
Chocolate
fuming.
Stadium still draws a crowd for fireworks and fountains. The Los Angeles Angels. Angels fans live in a constant state of baseball-related existential crisis. They had two all-time talents, Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani, and somehow never won a single playoff game with either one of them. In the 2000s, they had Vlad Sr. and gave up the most ridiculous Barry Bonds home run ever. They've watched the team throw money at washed-up stars and let pitching in the farm system rot. They envy the Dodgers and try not to talk about it. And the fan base is weird because a lot of them hate each other. The miserable ones despise the ones who are still able to enjoy life. But one thing they all can agree on is that Artie Moreno is the worst. The Los Angeles Dodgers.
Wow.
One of the only fan bases that will be like, yeah, you know what? Things are pretty good right now. Dodgers fans show up late, leave early to beat the traffic, and still expect 100 wins. They're a mix of diehards, celebrities, and people who came for the vibes or just to make an Instagram post. The fan base is in heaven. They love the front office, they've got a stacked team every year, unlimited budget, and are just overall used to getting whatever they want.
Wow, so the Dodgers are they the big dogs? They're the rich ones that always have money to spend on the best talent. Isn't there a salary cap, though, in baseball? I thought there was a salary cap to kind of even things out.
They have too many legends to name, but the most beloved person in their franchise history might just be legendary broadcaster Vince Scully. Chavez Ravine is both a baseball cathedral and an influencer photo shoot backdrop. The fans expect greatness, demand it, and if they don't get it, that's okay because they'll probably just sign the most expensive free agent that offseason anyway. The Miami Marlins. Marlins fans are the rarest species in sports.
Look at that kid.
They have 2 World Series titles and like 17 fans. But the real fans they do have are true diehards. They have an insanely bizarre amount of awesome players in their history who just weren't on the team for long, like Miguel Cabrera, Gary Sheffield, Kevin Brown. I could literally name like 20 more. They watched Yelich, Real Muto, Stanton, and Ozuna all thrive somewhere else. Now Jazz Chisholm and soon probably Sandy Alcantara. The best player in franchise history passed away in a boat accident. The stadium has less soul than any other park in baseball. They've never won a
Was that Aaron Fernandez, I think his name was? I think so.
division title, and they're in a never-ending rebuild. The Milwaukee Brewers. Some of the most loyal fans in the league, even though the team perennially sits in the almost good enough category. They'll tailgate a Tuesday game like it's the Super Bowl and then go inside and scream for a team that's always a player or two short. They love Christian Yelich even if his MVP season feels like a fever dream now, and they act like Craig Counsell never existed. They hate the Cubs, but it's a Midwest kind of hate. They've seen just enough heartbreak to stay humble and just enough promise to keep showing up. American Family Field, or Miller Park, is sacred ground for beer, sausage races, and playoff disappointment.
Love
The Minnesota Twins. This century, the Twins have rarely been terrible, but never dominant either.
Oh, that jersey is so clean. Oh my God, I love it. The font, the color, the shine on the red. Ooh.
They've won plenty of division titles, but always lose to the Astros or Yankees in the postseason. From 2004 to 2023, they lost 18 straight playoff games. They love their homegrown guys. Mauer, Morneau, Buxton, and the grandpas love Kirby Puckett. Target Field is gorgeous, and it reignited the fan base when it opened. Twins fans are smart. They'll let you know when they're frustrated, but they're not toxic about it. They do hate the Yankees with a quiet rage, though. Twins fans would love a World Series, but even a playoff series win will do. The New York Mets. Mets fans live for pain, but now they have perhaps one of the best owners in all of sports. They have some of the most ridiculous collapses in baseball history, and they'll talk about it like they're war stories. Their most famous fan is Jerry Seinfeld. They still think David Wright deserved better, and they act like 1986 happened last week. Citi Field is electric when they're rolling, though. They hate the Phillies, despise the Braves, and insist they're now the top baseball franchise in New York. They'll complain nonstop, but if you talk trash about the Mets, it's go time. They're loud and eternally cursed, but they wear it like a badge of honor.
Okay.
The New York Yankees.
The Yankees, like this is probably the most famous team, I would say, internationally. The hats with this logo on, you used to see them in London all the time. Like, I'd say the Yankees. Are the Yankees more famous than the Dodgers in America?
They will bring up 27 rings in a conversation about anything. They're the most hated fan base in baseball. They worship Ruth, Gehrig, Mantle, and now Judge, in that exact order. And don't you dare suggest Derek Jeter wasn't actually that good. Every season's World Series are bust, and most of them lately end in bust. But that doesn't stop their ego. They'll boo their own players in April, they'll demand a superstar be traded in May, but come October, they're locked in. They hate the Red Sox, pat the Mets on the head, even though they won't admit they're pissed about Juan Soto, and they genuinely think baseball should revolve around them. The second a player puts on pinstripes, he either becomes a legend or a scapegoat. Say what you want, they're delusional and dramatic, but they show up. No fan base expects more, and no fan base reminds you of it more either. The Philadelphia...
That dude trying to steal the glove. I mean, a New York team would probably be the easiest logistically for me to support because of, you know, the closeness to the UK. But, I mean, I don't know. Maybe the Yankees? I don't know.
Phillies.
The Twins, the Minnesota Twins is appealing too.
Phillies fans will boo your mom and your dog if you strike out with runners on base. They demand effort, passion, and ideally a little blood. They still reminisce about 2008 with Rollins, Howard, and Utley, but Mike Schmidt is God. Citizens Bank Park is hostile, and when the vibes are right, it's one of the best environments in sports. Right now, they're nervous because Harper, Schwarber, and Wheeler aren't getting any younger, and the window's closing without a World Series win yet. But for all the yelling and panic, they still love their team with everything they've got. The Pittsburgh Pirates. PNC Park is unreal.
I love baseball stadiums, man. They look so cool. They've got this kind of really vintage look to them.
Most people consider it the best setting in Major League Baseball, and the history is rich, but the product on the field is usually depressing. They've been living at the bottom of the NL Central for a while now, and despite having a couple young stars, ownership is not willing to spend. They're proud of the idea of Pirates baseball. Clemente, Stargell, Bonds, McCutchen, even if the modern version feels like a low-budget reboot. They root for the Pirates with a deeply ingrained cynicism. The San Diego Padres. Tony Gwynn in 1998 made fans fall in love with the team, but for decades they were baseball's forgotten little brother. Then suddenly, Tatis, Soto, Machado, playoff wins, repeated all-out attempts to win.
Oh, I like that jersey too. This brown and gold. Ooh.
They feel like they're always a big player now. The fan base has gone from more casual to more diehard,
that one's nice
especially
too.
Since the Chargers are gone. The Padres are San Diego's baby now. But like many other fan bases, they think they have some of the worst ownership in sports. Playing the Dodgers is their World Series. Petco Park is a beautiful setting with perfect weather, a baseball stadium that feels like you're on the beach. Padres fans are very loyal and a little emotionally damaged, but when things are good, they're electric. When things are bad, at least the weather's still perfect. The San Francisco...
This is a good point. Dude, those jerseys, the Padres jerseys that I saw were really, really nice. I mean, I know that shouldn't be the only thing that matters, but they were clean, weren't they?
Giants. Like every other NL West fan base, they are obsessed with just beating the Dodgers. Giants fans have lived 3 full baseball lives in the last 15 years. They were tortured for decades, then suddenly became a dynasty out of nowhere. 2010, 2012, 2014, it was insane. Madison Bumgarner is Jesus Christ. Buster Posey is God. But they can also say they got to watch the greatest baseball player to ever live in his prime. They cherish every great player in their franchise history, past or present. Oracle Park goes toe-to-toe with PNC Park for the best setting in baseball. And personally, Oracle Park would get my vote. The Giants are one of baseball's most storied franchises, but they're often around 500 and in the middle of the pack in the NL West. The Seattle
So kind of an averagey team in terms of performance.
Mariners fans are fueled almost entirely by pain. The franchise has more ruptured testicles than World Series appearances.
What?
They're the only franchise to never make the World Series despite having the major league record with 116 wins in a season. They recently ended a 22-year playoff drought just to get swept in the ALDS. They've seen some of the best players of all time come and go in their prime. Randy Johnson, Ken Griffey Jr., Alex Rodriguez, Jared Kelenic. At least they got all of Ichiro's good years. They despise ownership because ownership wants the Mariners to be good, but not so good that they actually have to spend. Just good enough to tease fans into thinking they have a chance. And
That's
with an all-time
ridiculous.
rotation on the cheap right now, they're executing that perfectly. Fans are split on Jerry DiPoto. T-Mobile Park is a sleeper pick for the best atmosphere when it's rocking. The fans have been through so much, they treat meaningful September baseball like a holiday. The St. Louis Cardinals.
Man, it'd suck to have owners like that don't really want to win. You know, I mean, if you can't afford to fund a team properly, sell the team, sell it to someone who can.
Cardinals fans have heard it all. Some say they're the best fans in baseball. Some say too classy, too smug. But say what you want, they show up every night, every year. They fill Busch Stadium even when the team's struggling. They cheer hustle plays that don't affect the score. And yes, they once gave Albert Pujols a curtain call for homering against them. Who else does that? This is not a bandwagon fan base. They've got 11 rings, the second most in baseball. Their history is a scroll of legends: Stan Musial, Bob Gibson, Lou Brock, Ozzie Smith, Albert Pujols. They expect professionalism. They expect effort, and most years they expect to be in the postseason. Since 2000, the Cardinals have been as relevant as nearly any franchise in baseball. Although right now they're one of the most poorly run franchises in baseball. But the
I love how he said it through gritted teeth.
uniforms are timeless. And maybe the fans do care a little too much about doing things the right way. But if you want a fan base that actually shows up, knows the game, and treats it with respect, it's hard to top St. Louis. The Tampa Bay Rays. They're one of the best run teams in baseball with one of the worst stadiums on earth. Tropicana Field feels like baseball in a vacuum-sealed warehouse. And now they're not even playing there because it doesn't have a roof. Their front office pulls off witchcraft every season, turning unknown pitchers into all-stars and winning 90-plus games with a low payroll. But the fan base is complicated. There are real fans, and they're smart as hell. They just don't show up in huge numbers for a number of different reasons. They're in a constant battle with their owner about whether they'll get a new stadium or be in St. Petersburg long-term.
Why haven't they got a new stadium? Because I thought sometimes the city can help with some of the funding. In America, I've noticed that sometimes the state or the city can put money towards new stadiums.
They love nothing more than punking the Red Sox and the Yankees with a bunch of dudes you've never heard of. Rays fans are underappreciated. The Texas Rangers. Rangers fans have been through it. They came so close to a World Series in 2011 with Josh Hamilton, and the trauma from David Freese lives deep in their bones. But they finally got the ring in 2023, and it felt like decades of pain got flushed out in one shot. Adolis Garcia loves to pimp home runs, Seager is a machine, Bochy is basically Gandalf for baseball. Globe Life Field felt soulless at first, but once the wins came, it turned into a party. Though they will always play second fiddle to the Cowboys in Dallas. Rangers fans have been loyal through a lot of lean years, and now they're being rewarded with a pretty good team. The Toronto Blue Jays. Blue Jays fans are Canada's baseball army. They roll deep, regular season, playoffs. There's always someone waving a flag and reminding you, we the North. They worship the 92-93 teams like holy relics, and Jose Bautista's bat flip was the best moment of their lives. The new generation fully bought in. Vlad Jr.'s their prince, Bo is their boy, and when they're winning, Rogers Center turns into a dome of chaos. But they do get anxious. The team has found a way to blow some epic leads. They're still waiting for this core to really break through, but it might be broken up before that even happens. The Washington Nationals.
Oh, that logo is really nice too. Oh my God.
They used to be the Expos.
So many nice logos.
Well, I don't believe anyone from Montreal actually still cares about the Nationals, but Nationals fans are still high on one of the most poetic runs in baseball history. With Bryce Harper out the door, 2019 was supposed to be a retooling year. Then they got hot, won 5 elimination games, and stole the title from an insane Astros team. It was magic, but then, poof. Scherzer gone, Strasburg fell apart and retired, Soto got traded. Now they're in a rebuild again, but it's looking promising. They've always had a weird DC energy, part political, part picnic. It's not the most extreme baseball town. They're mostly over Bryce Harper. Nationals Park still gets a decent crowd, but it feels more like a gathering than a battleground. The fan base is patient, optimistic, and hoping lightning can strike again soon. And if you enjoyed this video,
super fun video to watch. I really enjoyed that. I mean, based on what I've seen, I like the Cardinals. I like the Minnesota Twins. I liked the Padres. I liked the, just for proximity's sake, the Yankees as well, because it would be realistically, I could probably get to a game a year. Man, but honestly, all of them had something different, to offer, whether it was the team, the history, the jerseys, the stadium, like each of them, the Oakland A's as well. Like that movie Moneyball with Brad Pitt, great movie. Man, I'm still kind of, what do you guys think I should do? Thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.